She was struggling to get away, wasn't she? Auckland triathlete Hamish Carter is in the best form of his career, just 3 weeks out from the...
Third division. Northland is the champion of that, there is no doubt. 9 tries to 1.
And that's the game. Canterbury have the title.
We are amazed but not amused by all the things you said that you do. We're much concerned but not involved with decisions that are made by you. And we are sick and tired of hearing your song, telling how you gonna change right from wrong. 'Cause if you really want to hear it, you haven't done nothing.
And a lot of those shots, I'm sure, summed up the emotion.
The park? Oh, it's nice, all right.
Did that all day, and in fact he tormented the Vikings defence on a number of occasions. He's so big and strong and quick with it, and even Steve Walsh was trying to get on the act to tackle him.
The weekend's highlights, wasn't it?
Certainly one of the special players of the Northland effort.
Collins has been week in, week out, the outstanding...
To Sunday, and the show moved on to Lancaster Park in Christchurch. For the second year in a row, Counties made the final. This year, their opponents were Canterbury.
Blackadder's beaten at the back. Counties through Apinavo. Took it in.
Well, it was a fantastic perception of the line out from the tail, wasn't it? It was beautiful to see those players leaping high and being held aloft.
Just trying to identify who the injured player is for Counties. Could be Jim Coe by the looks of things. Jim Coe, the veteran, his 158th game, and this looks serious. This does look serious. They look to me as though they're looking for the stretcher. Quickly taken by Brain. Tony Marsh. Scott again. Lomu. Away he goes. Electric burst from Jonah Lomu. Leaves it on the ground for Scott. Surridge will take this off the back. Fires it straight across to Blackadder. Now Marshall. Just tipped on the leg of one of the Counties players. So hello. Here's the little bloke. Loves to run with the ball. Giles makes the tackle. Marshall digs in again. Mayer Hoffler. Up to Matson. Powerful surge done by Matson.
Well, yes, he's very strong, isn't he? Upper body strength as well. Powerful in the tackle, setting it up for Canterbury.
There it is.
Running slow here for Justin Marshall. Now it's away to Blackadder. They keep going the blind side. Mertens slips it to Gibson, and he's out. Taken out by Scott for Feeney. The little kick ahead for Vandera to chase, but McDonald read it well. Got it nicely away to Lilly. Darryl Lilly. And Angus Gardner has got the first try. Counties once again stuck in the corner. Scott this time gets a bit more distance, but he's put it in field for McDonald. Driving tackle by Vanderi. Marshall. Out into open spaces. Justin Marshall. Solano. He gets it. Jeremy Tamuli on the far side. Still problems. Scott will clear it, but with some difficulty. Feeney hasn't quite had the impact we expected. Tony Marsh. Again, Soalo, the tackler, left behind. Sexton driving over the top. Lomu to bring it out. Away for Feeney. Lau Pepe. Mayer Hoffler tackles him. Pass back on the Canterbury side. Marshall again. Matson. 5 metres on the county side of halfway. Marshall, Mertens, Napier, Surridge, Thorne. He's got Soalo outside. Couldn't find him though, but here he is anyway. Meyerhofer. McDonald is after it. It's on the Canterbury side.
Just too slow.
Marshall, Surridge. It's on the Canterbury side again. Mertens delivers. Soano. He's got another one.
Well, some thrilling tries in the first half. 19 points to 3 to Canterbury, and really, Bernie, those 2 tries just before half-time were killers.
Yes, I believe it knocked the stuffing out of counties, perhaps. I thought the first 20 minutes of the game, they were right in there. They were playing well, but what they couldn't do was score points. They broke the line a couple of times, but couldn't finish anything off. And at the end of the day, that was probably their lot. They pretty much lost it after that.
And Bob, losing Jim Coe early didn't help either.
Yeah, that was critical. Although even right at the very start, the county scrum was under pressure. But losing Jim Coe was just something they could ill afford, because he brings so much strength and experience to that scrum. And they missed him in the lineouts, and of course they missed him in the scrums, and that became more and more evident as the game went on. And in fact, it was something they hadn't covered particularly well, because they didn't have a lock to replace him with, and they had to put a flanker in. And you could see the scrum start to bend and buckle a wee bit. But those 2 tries just before half-time, scored by that incredible little winger, Saolo, who I think was giving away 35 kilograms to Jonah Lomo on the day, which is just staggering. But just goes to show, size doesn't matter if you're as talented and mercurial as he is. 2 great tries, and yeah, a 19-3 lead was pretty decisive by half-time.
Certainly was. So 19 points to 3 at half-time. Let's rejoin the First Division final in the second half.
County's scrum still under pressure. Straight to Vindiri. Getting the ball in rather static positions, the 2 wingers so far. Navo. Just a metre, now Brain. Possibly lost a metre. Scott. Tony Marsh, Lau Pepe. Look at this defence. Meyerhofer and Matson together. There's not many gaps in this Canterbury defence. They didn't concede a try last week. So far they haven't this week either. Now Tony Marsh. Marsh up the middle. They've got a chance here. Marsh on McDonald. Glendenning in support. Wonderful tackle from Gardner. And he gets up to grab the ball too. And he gets a penalty. What an effort from Angus Gardner.
You couldn't have a bigger open side. The scrum has to be good enough, of course, to produce good ball, and it is. But Errol Brain elected to take it.
Now it's delivered up for Scott. Close into Lomu. Look how many go for him. Struggles to get the ball back. Bruce makes the pass to Feeney. He delivers to Lau Pepe. Lovely pass inside to Feeney. Now Vindiri's into the clear. Still on his feet. Feeney's going to score, and Counties hit back immediately. Roos looking for Giles, has got him too. Counties have really hit back hard in the last 5 minutes as they make it up to the 22.
This is what they have to do. They have to get some drive on. They have to produce some ball going forward like this one. This is good.
Never say die. As Tony Marsh, away to twin brother Glenn Marsh. Places it for Scott. Feeney, he runs the show. Back to Scott again. Canterbury called upon to make more tackles. Oh, they're going to get a penalty in a very kickable position. Taken by Vindiri.
You know the story about in the 22s?
Not from the mark, and I think maybe Errol Brain might be happy about
I
that.
don't make it.
Well, I think so, really, because the 3 points is beckoning at 22-10.
Over the top.
Really, you want to be inside the 10.
Option.
Would make it 22-13.
You've got it.
Errol Brain would be happy with that, I would think.
Well, no, look, they're going to tap and go.
Well, how wrong can you be?
Amazing. Lee Lidgard sets it for Scott. Feeney. Glenn Marsh. Again the thunderous tackling from Canterbury. Feeney hands off to Tony Marsh. And he ran into one of his own players.
Well, I guess you've got to come here to win. You've got to play the rugby to win the match.
Here's a big call again. Todd Blackadder has made some big ones this season. Here he goes again. He backs his way in. Canterbury got the drive on, and the try scored. Daryl Gibson. The gamble worked. Blackadder holds. Blackadder goes. Delivers to Marshall. Back it comes to Mertens. Calling Mayerhoff the throw. Straight into the bar. Mark Mayerhoff. Blackadder takes it up the back. Marshall. Justin Marshall. And they get another one. 6 tries today for Canterbury. It certainly opened up for Justin Marshall. He doesn't miss those opportunities.
Todd Blackadder, tremendous day for your team.
Oh, it's just an awesome day. I'm just so proud of our guys, and I'm just so pleased we achieved what we set out from the start to achieve, and it's just a great day and a great atmosphere, and I'm just so pleased we played well.
There's obvious delight going on around behind you, but I think a little bit of relief as well.
Yeah, a lot of relief. It's the first time we've been in a final. We noticed a lot of added pressures, and if you're getting a few bad nights sleep this week, but I'm just so pleased we came out here and did the business, and I'm just wrapped.
Errol Brain, Todd Blackadder having a little clasp of condolences, I suppose, from Todd Blackadder to you, Errol, but an encouraging start for you today. You're in the game early on.
Oh yeah, but it's just pretty disappointing to make it all the way to a final and get beaten like that, I suppose, but we'll take the season as it comes. Certainly Canterbury wanted it more than we did on the day, and they deserved their victory.
It didn't help losing Jim Coe?
No, it didn't. Made a her of a difference, but then again, in a final situation, guys got to take their opportunities, and we didn't on the day.
Well, he was gracious in defeat, Errol Brain, but really it was Canterbury's day. And Bernie, it was a triumph when you think about it, for planning, for homework. They really have worked hard down there in Christchurch.
Yes, they have. I'd be interested to know how long actually they have been planning for it. I'd imagine Robbie Deans would have had the thinking cap on for some time. But they had the good nucleus of a Super 12 side. They played pretty well and developed pretty well during that Super 12 series. And then to bring that on to the NPC, and Robbie Deans just kept upping the tempo and had everyone in behind him. I got the chance to talk to him a little bit before the game, and he said what he really wanted out of his players was the ticker first. And those guys out there showed they had a lot of ticker. They played for each other. It was interesting when guys were getting subbed with 20 to go. He didn't go off until the other guy was on, and they'd give each other a high five, and then 3 or 4 players around. They all enjoyed who was out there, and they enjoyed the day, and it was pretty special to see them in action like that.
Yeah, great teamwork, Bob. Long time between drinks for the good people of the Canterbury area.
Well, that's right. You have to go back to 1983 since they last won the NPC. And that particular year, it's quite interesting because the fullback was a fella called Robbie Deans, who kicked all the goals that year. The first 5 was a fella called Wayne Smith, who, of course, is now coaching the Crusaders. And the captain was a bloke called Don Hayes, who's got his finger in there as well as the technical advisor. So they've all come together 14 years on. I think it's great that Canterbury rugby was long due for a revival. I interviewed Todd Blackadder recently, and he said it's just marvellous that when they run out now there's a full ground, because he said he can think back to 1994 when Canterbury was really struggling, and he said at times there he ran out and the only people he could see on the terraces he felt were friends and family. So things have certainly turned around, but I've no doubt that the big difference between the two teams last Sunday was defence. And Canterbury just had it just fantastically.
They got into it all day, didn't they? And Tamai Matson was pretty special in particular, but I think it wasn't just him, it was a number of the Canterbury guys. Leon McDonald, unbelievable. He stopped try-saving moves 3 or 4 times in the game, just threw himself at it.
But even within the first 3 or 4 minutes, I think each member of the Canterbury backline put in a big hit, and that just obviously lifted the whole team. And from then on, they just kept tackling, and little guys tackled big guys. You know, Mertz didn't seem to worry him how big the bloke was running at him.
I believe the key to their defence too was one guy would make a hit, and very, very quickly the second guy would go and look at Matson there, straight onto Lomu. Mayer Hoppler's in there beside him, Kevin Napier in the background. They got him behind quickly and just drove him backwards, and I think that was the key, that offensive defence. They've worked on it all year and they've worked it really well.
I think there were probably as many as 3 dozen big hits by Canterbury in that game, maybe even more. And you could take them out. You could make a motivational movie out of their tackling from this game.
Ruben Thorne showed his skill too, didn't he?
This boy got pace. Look at this. He is sensational. He really is one of the finds of this year.
And
now this is where Angus Gardner really comes into his own. Look,
yeah, work rate.
This looked a certain 7-pointer, didn't it, for Counties? And Angus Gardner runs down the replacement to Glendinning, and then gets up and
had the audacity, Bob, had the audacity to get the penalty.
He actually got a penalty for the team as well.
Look at him there from behind, and straight back up on his feet. Tries to stop the ball and works it.
Yeah, I think Angus Gardner might just be slightly embarrassing a few New Zealand selectors at this stage.
Have a look at this for defence from Leon McDonald again. Just coming from the blind spot on George Lupepe. See him there, lining him up the whole way and smack into him.
Yeah, McDonald had a big game, and amazingly when he went off and Lilly came on, he had an influence on the game too, didn't he? He actually featured, had a big part to play in 2 of their tries.
I think that's a key for Canterbury too, wasn't the depth? It's not just the 15 guys out there. That was a key for Northland as well.
That's right.
They've got those guys just coming off the bench and they're adding to the game, not just making up numbers.
They had a lot of stars, not the least of whom we should refer to as Kevin Napier, who of course was in doubt for the game. He had medial ligament trouble. He'd almost been written off, but he said, no, keep me in the picture. He got himself right, went out there and played very gutsily for about 68 minutes until finally he could hardly move, and then he came off and he got a standing ovation. I felt it was thoroughly deserved, because if one player has epitomised what this Canterbury team's all about this year, I think it's Kevin Napier. And he's a new boy on the block. Todd Blackadder, a very good quote after the game. When asked what the key to Canterbury's success, he said attack with or without the ball, and that sums it up really. Exactly, yeah. Well, they scored 6 tries, and to do that in the final is something. You know, it's funny, the week before people said, wow, all those tries were scored in Hamilton and no tries were scored at Lancaster Park, and that perhaps reflected that Canterbury didn't have the attacking ability. But, boy, when it came to the crunch, they could score tries all right. Yeah, they were pretty impressive, and they weren't just easy tries. They were pretty well-worked moves, got themselves into the scoring positions and finished them off well, and that was the key. As you said, you know, they wanted to attack whether they had the ball or not, and I think teams around the country will be thinking about the way they got it when they had the ball in hand and the way the Canterbury defence was attacking them. Something pretty special that we can look back on the year of '97 and remember that Canterbury defence. Before the game, most of the talk was the perceived threat of Lomu and Vindiri, never really eventuated. No, well, they shut them down, didn't they? You could see that if it hadn't been for that Canterbury tackling, you could see several times that Counties could have got away from them, as they did against Waikato. And in fact, it was interesting, straight after half-time, I think Canterbury were guilty of what Waikato were guilty of the week before, in that they were letting Counties come to them. And then suddenly they realised, oops, here they come. Here comes a stampede. They then took the game back to Waikato, and once they did that and just started chopping them down, did I say Waikato? Counties. Once they took it back to them, of course, and started tackling them, then Counties just couldn't find a way through. 80 minutes of endeavour, they got through for 1 try, and I think that says just so much about that Canterbury defence. So a new name on the trophy, Bernie, and the way they went, they'll be tough to bowl again next year. I think they will. First time in finals for a long, well, first time in a final, and they're only a young side, though. They enjoyed each other's company. We can all see that. They'll be the team that people are going to have to keep their eye on next year, and they'll be the focus of all teams. Where to now for Counties, Bob? I heard Mac McCallion say today on the radio that they're not a rich union. They don't pull players in. They basically operate with the players they have in that area. Yeah, I think they've done outstandingly well to get right through to the final, ahead of Auckland, ahead of Waikato. So I was almost going to say full credit, but you know, great achievement by them. Then they're right. I think someone said, didn't they, the 14th largest, or only the 14th biggest union in New Zealand. So for them to be starring in the final as they did, I think is a great achievement. So they've got some good players there too. They've got 1 or 2 who might be towards the end of their career, and I guess if Max, I'm not sure whether he's going to hang in, but he's done wonders for that team as well. There was a lovely quote, did you see it, in the Sunday paper, in which I think it was their assistant coach said that the big difference between a terrorist and Mac McCallion is that you can negotiate with a terrorist. Very good. OK, well, there we are. That was the First Division final, deservedly won by Canterbury. Well, just 2 weeks ago, the news came through that All Black Great is a club in London that seems to have attracted a number